The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read. Your source for news, politics, sports, and all things trending. Here's your host, Marcus Gentry.
Just moments ago, the Daily Beast peeled back another layer of this story, reporting, quote, in two late-night Venmo transactions in May 2018, Representative Matt Gaetz sent his friend, the accused sex trafficker Joel Greenberg, $900. The next morning, over the course of 8 minutes, Greenberg used the same app to send 3 young women varying sums of money. In total, the transactions amounted to $900.
And this is the Daily Read, and I am your host, Marcus Gentry. We're going to talk about Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz is one of the trio of who I call undercover white supremacists in Congress. There's a lot of other ones that are not so undercover, but Matt Gaetz, Devin Nunes, and Ted Cruz. You can look at these people and tell that there's something wrong with these guys. I've been knowing it for a long time, but we have an hour show for iHeartRadio, so I'm going to see if I can cram most of this in and paint this story for you, this picture for you, so my listeners can understand. You see, I don't just have I don't only have minorities that watch my show. My show is not just a hood show. I have people in the hood to watch my show. I have people in normal society to watch my show that's not in the hood, you know. And I try to keep everything simple for people to understand what's going on with these cats. Bear with me for a second, people. I'm trying to get my cameras and everything up proper. Get everything running up proper. As you can tell, I haven't it's been a week since I've been up, but we're going to get everything straight. We're going to get everything right, people. Back to Matt Gaetz. Today's show is called Matt Gaetz, the Pimp, the Underage Girls, and the Racist Newscaster. Now, the racist newscaster is none other than Tucker Carlson. Okay? Tucker Carlson plays a big role in this, just like Sean Hannity. You see, Fox News has been a propaganda arm of white supremacy for a while now. And even though I know people see Fox News in their local area that's not a part of the main branch of Fox News, they're all connected because they're all owned, you know, by the Fox Corporation. Now, I'm gonna go into detail on this white supremacist that's a newscaster, Tucker Carlson, because he's connected to Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz just threw this man under the bus. But first, we got to start with the newscasters before we get deeper into Matt Gaetz, because a lot of these newscasters on Fox News are not objective. They're going out to dinner with some of these people. They're having affairs with some of these people. They do some of the same dirty, underhanded things with some of these people. And Florida plays a big part in this, because Florida has become the central spot for Republican politics, because Donald Trump is down there in Florida. Let me explain what that means. Back when I was over the road truck driving, I used to listen to late night talk show podcasts while I was driving across the country. And every now and then, people like Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity, it used to be called Sean and Combs. Sean Hannity and a guy named Combs used to do a show. It was Mark Levin and Michael Savage. A lot of these podcasters, when you driving across the road late at night, they be on the air spewing out hatred towards to white America. This is what led up to Donald Trump. This is why I do my show. This is why I do my show, because we have to fight back against these bigots that have cleaned themselves up. They've taken off the hoods and they don't burn crosses in your yard anymore. They've put on khakis and suits and have stepped into politics. They put on khakis and suits and they've stepped into big business, big corporations. And now these are the people who are trying to suppress minorities in this country. Let's talk about this Tucker Carlson character. Because like I said, he's connected to Matt Gaetz. And Matt Gaetz basically threw him under the bus. Check this out.
So the Anti-Defamation League is calling on Fox News to fire primetime host Tucker Carlson for pushing a racist conspiracy theory used by white supremacists. It's called replacement theory.
Yeah, it's a concept that falsely claims that Democrats, and in the context of white supremacy, more specifically Jewish people, are intentionally replacing white Americans with immigrants with the express purpose, in Tucker's words, of, quote, diluting American voters. Listen to part of what he said.
Now, I'm going to stop the video right there. This white supremacist talking point is called replacement theory. Now, the replacement theory is a theory where white America feels like they're the only ones that are supposed to really decide who wins elections in this country. And they feel like a lot of immigrants that are coming into this country are causing them not to pick who they want to be in office. But what they're doing is they really don't want minorities at all, even black Americans and Chinese Americans and Korean Americans and Spanish Americans who were born here. They don't want you to decide who goes into office. They feel like they have the only right to put somebody in office. But how they're doing it is they're using trickery. Okay, you got to understand how the game is being played. Trickery is by saying immigrants are coming here voting and disenfranchising me from voting. That's not true. There is no voter fraud. What they're basically saying is they don't want minorities to decide who the presidents are, who the congressmen are, who the senators are. This is a white power play. Now let's go into detail about what this means, this replacement theory that these people have, these white supremacists have.
In a democracy, one person equals one vote. If you change the population, you dilute the political power of the people who live there. So every time they import a new voter, I become disenfranchised as a current voter. So I don't understand why we don't understand this. I mean, everyone wants to make a racial issue out of it. Ooh, the white replacement theory. No. This is a voting rights question.
You see, they're trying to hide their white supremacy into making this a voter issue. This is not a voter issue. There is no voter issue. Black people stood up in Georgia and voted and flipped Georgia. Those people were not immigrants. Those people were not Mexicans who crossed the border and changed an election. But they're trying to mask their hatred. They're trying to mask their hatred, trying to say that this whole thing is about stopping illegals from voting. It's a bunch of baloney. It's a bunch of garbage. Let's go a little farther into this.
Here with us is CNN chief media correspondent Brian Stelter. Brian, Tucker Carlson did not mention Jewish people when he was giving this diatribe, but almost word for word what he's espousing is a central tenet of white supremacist beliefs. And this isn't the first time that Tucker Carlson has been accused of racist remarks. Instead of punishing him, Fox has actually been elevating him as he has been making these comments.
You see, you see, the people that run Fox News, the owners, these people, they are white supremacists. Don't get it twisted. They just happen to own one of the biggest media corporations in America. And they have the resources to put people like Tucker Carlson in power. And as I've always told minorities, we keep sending our kids out on the football field and the basketball court instead of pushing our kids into politics. White America, their kids play sports too, but once the sports is over with, their kids go on into being politicians, governors, senators, police captains. I'm not saying we don't have minorities who are governors, senators, police captains, but we more worried about, local hip hop news and stuff like that. And I'm trying to explain to the population of minorities out here that this goes deeper than that. I don't worry about what a scumbag on the streets doing. I don't worry about what a rapper's doing. I don't worry about none of that. I'm worried about what these people in office is doing that's going to suppress and destroy us as a race of people in this country. When we come back off this commercial break, we're going to get into Matt Gaetz and how he's connected to this white supremacist Tucker Carlson. Because like I said, Donald Trump didn't just pop up out of nowhere. Donald Trump is for every cause there's an effect. For every action there's a reaction. Donald Trump was that reaction. The actions that was taken was white supremacists raising their kids up, filling them with all kinds of hatred towards minorities and immigrants, and pushing them into politics. Now you have these young white supremacists sitting in news broadcast stations. They're sitting in public office. They're kneeling on people's necks like the George Floyd, Derek Chauvin incident. Most of these people are in their 30s or 40s or younger. These are not the old racist hood wearing Ku Klux Klan that you're used to thinking about. That's not who these people are. These people were raised by those people. That's who these people are. They've learned to manipulate words and word salad. They've learned to dog whistle without openly being racist, like their grandfathers will openly be racist and call you the N-word. Now their kids and grandkids, they hide behind their racism by using stuff like, they're trying to take your guns away from you. They're trying to take your freedom away from you. They're trying to send illegal immigrants to vote, taking your vote away from you. They've learned how to mix and mingle and hide in the shadows. Some of these people even have black boyfriends or black girlfriends. That's going to shock some of y'all. I'm going to let that sit on y'all soul for a minute. Some of these people literally have kids by black people, or date black people, or marry black people, but they still feel like they're superior than minorities. This is some dangerous psychological stuff. It's crazy. Prime example, Candace Owens. She's a minority woman. She's a black woman married to a white supremacist. This man that she's married to goes over to Europe all the time and talks about how, whites are being replaced by African immigrants coming into Europe and destroying Europe. Yeah, look him up. Look up Candace Owens' husband. Now you know why she talks the way she talks about black people, and she's black. We're gonna get into this next commercial break, and when we get back, we're gonna talk about Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz is in a lot of trouble. You see, Trump is not in office anymore. The head honcho of the white supremacist movement. You know, blacks and minorities and whites stood up and got him out of there. We'll be right back.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
Me and Bae gon' always be tight, though you not with me every single day and night. Even when they start to acting like a fool, yeah, they loving every single thing you do. You know that they can always be themselves. They love each other more than anybody else. And every day as you see them on YouTube, you know there's not one, it'll always be just two. Two stupid Emily, two stupid Emily, two stupid family. They'll make you scream. It makes me wanna sing. It's a family thing, the family. Two stupid family, stupid family. They'll push your buttons. It makes me wanna cry. It's a family thing, the family. Two stupid family.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
Just a couple of hours ago, late this afternoon, the New York Times ran a story saying that Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz is under federal investigation for playing some role in sex trafficking and potentially having a relationship with a 17-year-old girl. There are very few details in major news outlets tonight about this story. We have no background on it all and not even any very informed questions. Instead, we've invited Congressman Gaetz on the show to respond to these stories and give us his view of them.
That was Tucker Carlson starting to interview Matt Gaetz. If you notice what he said he wants to give Matt Gaetz his view on these charges and allegations of pedophilia. Okay, let me set this up for you. Matt Gaetz, along with several other congressmen and senators, these are the new breed of racists that have come into power. They're young. They're going to be around for the next 20 or 30 years. They like messing around with young girls under the age of 18. You know, they don't care about women's rights. They feel like white men are supposed to run this country. And this is something they were taught. These men are dangerous. These are the same men who led an insurrection on the U.S. Capitol. Now I want you to hear this foolishness coming out of Matt Gaetz' mouth as he's talking about these charges that are being brought against him by the Justice Department.
Congressman, thanks so much for coming on. Appreciate it. So this is obviously a serious allegation. Tell us what the truth is from your perspective.
Let me stop this right here one more time. Tucker Carlson just invited this guy to tell the people what the truth is according to what he sees. Listen to what he said now. You got to pay attention to how these people are so good and vicious at word salad. They're good at this stuff. You know, they don't play no games. They've learned to master the con. That's why a lot of these white supremacists were attracted to Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the ultimate con man. He's the ultimate confidence man. I to be honest with you, I think Donald Trump will go down in history as the greatest con man of all time. I've never seen nothing like that, how he conned white people who he cares nothing about, really. Because a poor white person in Donald Trump's eyes is just like a black person in his eyes. but a lot of white supremacists formed around him and put up a barrier around him. But listen to Matt Gaetz, how he tries to weasel his way out of these charges of sex trafficking with minors.
It is a horrible allegation, and it is a lie. The New York Times is running a story that I have traveled with a 17-year-old woman, and that is verifiably false. People can look at my travel records and see that that is not the case.
Now I'm going to stop that video. Understand what this is. Okay? He's saying that you can look at his travel records. Okay? Like I said, they got the con game down. What he's saying is you can look at his travel records and see that he has never traveled with a minor. Okay? Understand what I've always told people, how pimps and guys who deal with prostitutes, how they move. How they move is they'll send their girls to another state with a separate plane ticket or a separate bus ticket. A day or two later, they'll show up on a separate plane or a bus ticket, because what that does is if they ever get arrested, they can always say that female or that prostitute came to this state by herself. I didn't bring her here. She willingly came here to this state by herself. You see, he's playing the game, people. And a lot of people out here who have never been in the streets, that don't know how these con men move, this is basically what he's doing. This guy has learned the con game at the feet of Donald Trump. Let's go a little further into this.
And I believe we are in an era of our politics now, Tucker, where people are smeared to try to take them out of the conversation. I'm not the only person on screen right now who's been falsely accused of a terrible sex act. You were accused of something that you did not do, and so you know what this feels like. You know the pain it can bring to your family, and you know how it just puts people on defense when you're accused of something so salacious and awful. But it did not happen. It is not true. And the fact that it is the basis of this attempt to extort my family tells a lot. And if
now, that's the first time he threw Tucker Carlson under the bus. I'm sorry, people. This is too funny. Now, like I say, some of my people who are watching me on live feed and some of the people who are listening to me on iHeartRadio, you can't see what's on my screen unless you go to YouTube. Okay? Go to Money Making Biz on YouTube. Okay, to see the full show, and you'll be able to see Tucker Carlson's face as Matt Gaetz throws him under the bus. You could see it was a slight twitch in his eyes when Matt Gaetz started talking about Tucker Carlson's sexual deviancy years ago. As he said, I'm not the only person who has been accused of sexual assault and stuff like that. And Tucker Carlson is like, what? This, I mean, just look at his face. Let's continue on with this interview, because this is fascinating, people. Y'all should really watch this.
Yeah, again, I only know what I've read in the New York Times. I can say that actually you and I went to dinner about 2 years ago. Your wife was there, and I brought a friend of mine. You'll remember her. And she was actually threatened by the FBI, told that if she wouldn't cop to the fact that somehow I was involved in some pay-for-play scheme, that she could face trouble. And so I do believe that there are people at the Department of Justice who are trying to smear me, providing for flights.
Now, that's the second time he threw Tucker Carlson under the bus. The first time he talked about Tucker Carlson's misdeeds with possibly prostitution and touching on women. And now he's saying that Tucker Carlson and him went to dinner with this woman who probably was 17 years old, not even old enough to even be at the dinner with these people. And Tucker Carlson has this look on his face like, why in the world are you saying this on live television? This is crazy. I've never seen nothing like this. This is crazy, people. Look at how the man reacts, as you know, he's telling this man, you know, I don't remember none of this. Oh my God, this is now what's finna happen is federal investigators are gonna start knocking on Tucker Carlson's door. Like I said, these white supremacists, they don't care nothing about women's rights. They don't care nothing about minority rights. They feel like white males should rule this country, period. And a lot of these people are pedophiles, they're molesters, they're tax cheaters, they're con men. They're trying to do any and everything they can to maintain power in this country. Look at Tucker Carlson's face.
And hotel rooms for people that you're dating who are of legal age is not a crime. And I'm just troubled that the lack of any sort of legitimate investigation into me would then convert into this extortion attempt.
I don't remember the woman you're speaking of or the context at all, honestly. But I would like to know who. So they're saying there is a 17.
And so Tucker Carlson just flat out told him, man, look, I do not remember, you know, the lady you brought to that dinner. You know, Tucker Carlson is not trying, because like I say, these people have mastered the art of wordplay. That's one of the, you know, conning is a lot of different things. You know, you got the pickpockets out here. You know, you got the game runners out here. You got the females that date older men just to steal their money. You got all kinds of different types of conning and game running out here. But these white supremacists have learned at the feet of Donald Trump for decades. I seriously believe Donald Trump is bigger in the white supremacist community than what people think he is. See, you got to get this understood. We minorities still look at groups like the Ku Klux Klan and neo-Nazis as the main branch of white supremacists. You see, the problem with that is, with us minorities, is we're not having an understanding that these people that took off the hoods. It draws too much attention. Even people who they might get to be on their side will not mess with them if they continue to wear the hoods. So they have actually learned to blend in. Like I said, they even go so far as to date minority women. You see white supremacists all the time dating Chinese women. You see white supremacists all the time dating black women. They've learned how to blend in with society, but at the same time preaching their hatred. They do it in a different way now. They know they can't lynch you. They can't beat you because they might get beat up themselves. They can't go out here and shoot you because they might get shot themselves. Everybody has guns now. Everybody, you can go out here and beat up a white man. You're not finna get hung at a tree. They might put you in jail, but you're not finna get hung in the tree. They know this. So what they've done is they've learned word salad. They learned wordplay. How to convince white people who are not racist to be racist by using keywords like all of these Mexicans here are trying to replace us. All of these blacks here are the ones who are the cause of all the crime. You know, when in all actuality, there are more working class black people in America than criminals. Trust me, I've looked at the numbers. You see, don't get it twisted for what you see on TV. All of these rappers running around with guns on their videos and stuff like that. That's not regular black America. Those are clowns. You know, that's a clown show. when you see these hip hop artists get on TV with AR-15s and talk about killing the ops and all of that stuff. That stuff right there, that's a clown show. That plays right into the hands of white supremacy. Because all they have to do is put up a picture of a young black man who's a rapper talking about how he's going to go out here and kill the ops. That's not normal black America. That's fiction. So now you got this Tucker Carlson. Thank you, Queen Niece, for joining me. So now you got this clown show, Tucker Carlson getting embarrassed on national TV by Matt Gaetz, because Matt Gaetz, he doesn't want to go down by himself. He's facing almost 40 years. But I'm almost willing to bet he's not going to go down by himself, because the guy that got arrested down in Florida, he's turning state's evidence against Matt Gaetz. Let's get further into this.
So what happens next? I mean, you can see there is this investigation, I guess a criminal investigation. I'm not quite sure where the sex trafficking part comes in. I don't, again, for the fifth time, I don't really understand this story very well. But where does it go from here? I mean, you've made an allegation against someone by name on the air and accused him of trying to extort millions of dollars from your family. What happens tomorrow?
Well, what was supposed to happen was the transfer of this money that would have implicated the former colleague of these current DOJ officials. But that's obviously not going to happen tomorrow, because the New York Times story was leaked.
Now, like I said, let me explain how this con game is going. Matt Gaetz is saying that somebody tried to extort him to make these charges go away. Understand something, people. Even if somebody did try to extort him to make the charges go away, that doesn't stop the fact that these are charges that you probably did. In other words, you can be extorted, but at the same time be a pedophile. Understand how that works. Somebody can come to you and say, man, I know you're a pedophile. You're going to have to pay me some money to stop these charges. Okay, you got extorted, but you're still a pedophile. So what he's trying to do is he's trying to tell people that he's being extorted, that way he's not a pedophile. That's a lie. He's using that wordplay against the people in America to make people think like the charges that's against him is just an extortion. That's not the case. Let me get into this next clip. This is interesting.
So thanks for giving me the chance to tell the truth, Tucker. I appreciate it.
It's a more interesting and complicated story than I knew from reading about it. Thank you very much. Matt Gaetz interview, that was one of the weirdest interviews I've ever conducted. That story just appeared in the news a couple of hours ago. And on the certainty that there's always more than you read in the newspaper, we immediately called Matt Gaetz and asked him to come on and tell us more, which, as you saw, he did.
Now, right there at the end, Tucker Carlson now is trying to throw Matt Gaetz under the bus. He telling the people in America that watch his show that, hey, that was the strangest interview I've ever had. You know, you buddy with this guy. You done went out, ate dinner with this guy. This guy brought a 17-year-old girl to a dinner that you and your wife had. He's messing around with an underage minor, and he's telling you on live television, do you remember that girl I brought to the dinner? This is the girl they're trying to extort. And Tucker Carlson like, man, look, I don't know what you're talking about. This is some strange stuff that's being played out right in front of America's eyes on Fox News. It doesn't end here, because now we finna get to Florida, because Matt Gaetz is not just tied up with Tucker Carlson, the white supremacist that's on television. Matt Gaetz is also tied into the whole case going on in Florida where they had this fake Democrat that ran for office and took votes from the real Democrat so the Republican can win. We'll be right back.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
I'm ready.
Camera's ready.
I'm ready. Welcome to Are You Scared Talent Shows. It's a new talent show that we put on TV for y'all to get used to because these people can't act. And so we're going to show y'all what the real deal is when you get on front of the camera and what some garbage acting look like. I tell you, garbage acting. This is Are You Scared Talent Shows, okay? I'm going to show y'all some acts of some talents. $5,000. It really ain't $5,000. I just said $5,000 because $5,000 sound like some people want to come and join a talent show if it was paying $5,000. So I'm your host, Eric Jones. Are You Scared Talent Shows?
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
The New York Times is also now reporting that the Gaetz investigation has expanded to include the congressman's reported discussions about a sham fake candidate who was put up in a Florida state Senate race last year in an effort, apparently, to divert votes from the Democratic candidate and thereby help the Republican.
Now, like I said, it gets even deeper, people. The shit gets even deeper. Matt Gaetz is not just in trouble with the feds for sex trafficking, but now he's caught up in a scandal that went on down in Florida, where he's involved with this guy that paid an unknown person to run as a Democrat to take votes from the Democrat that was actually running in the election. What that did was it split the Democratic vote and made the Republican win. That's not illegal to get somebody to run as a candidate. What is illegal is if you pay that person. Because if you pay that person, basically you're trying to ruin an election. You're trying to ruin a fair election. And this is the same type of stuff that these people accuse Democrats of doing. You see, that's the game. It's called gaslighting. Gaslighting is when you accuse somebody of doing something like the Republicans always accuse the Democrats of doing. The whole time you're behind the scenes doing it yourself. It's called gaslighting. Narcissists do this in relationships all the time. They might be out here cheating on you, and then when you have this funny feeling that something's going on and you approach them about it, they say, I'm not cheating, you're the one cheating. You're the one who's the problem in the relationship. You see, that's something these people learn from Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a master at this stuff. He's a master at it. This is some deep stuff. Let's dive a little further into this sham election.
Congressman Gaetz denies any involvement in this scheme, but it should be noted that there were a number of these last year. This same type of scheme where a Republican was running against a Democrat and then another candidate appeared on the ballot to apparently try to divert votes from the Democrat. That same scheme recurred at least 3 different times in different Florida state Senate races last year when the Florida Republican Party was trying to hold on to the state Senate. In at least 3 different Florida Senate races last year, candidates appeared on the ballot who nobody knew in politics, who didn't do any campaigning. They were people who didn't appear to have any interest or involvement in the race or in politics more broadly whatsoever. But mysteriously, hundreds of thousands of dollars were spent on their behalf on really slick mailers that went out to Florida voters promoting these no-name candidates as strong, electable progressives.
Now, this is starting to happen all over the country. Like I said, the main base of Republican politics right now is based in Florida. And the reason why is because the head MAGA, which is Donald Trump, is living in Florida right now. And like I told you at the beginning of this show, I can remember back when I was over the road truck driver, I can remember late nights driving across this country, and I would hear people like Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, Mark Levin, Michael Savage. They would all take vacations at the same time. And you know where they went? They went down to Florida. They had a conference in Florida, or they had a conference in Nevada. You know what they were talking about down there? They was talking about how they was going to take this country. They used social media and podcasting and news reporting to steal elections and lie to people. And then when these news broadcasters or these podcasters would come back off of their break for a day or two, they would all be talking about the same thing. Barack Obama. It was spooky. Every station you turn to, back when Barack Obama was president, every station you turn to, they would have a different host taking the place of the main host because the main host was on vacation. I said, okay, Rush Limbaugh's on break and he has this guy taking his place. And I know some of y'all thinking, why would I listen to Rush Limbaugh? You got to know what your enemy is talking about. That's why I listen to these people. I don't sit here and watch them all day, but I pay attention to what they're talking about. And then when they would come off of their break, Rush Limbaugh would be talking about Barack Obama did this. You turn to Mark Levin, he'd be on his station talking about the same thing. It was almost like they had this stuff coordinated. You got to understand how this power play is going in this country. These people are organized, they're coordinated, and they're not out here wearing racist hoods. They're not out here throwing up Ku Klux Klan signs and burning crosses in people's yards. These people are organized. They have millions of dollars because they have wealthy racist backers. People who are putting money into them to do the dirty work. You don't see that in the minority community. It upsets me sometimes because when I see the wealth that's generated by some of these multi-million-dollar rappers, some of these multi-million-dollar actors, black CEOs, you don't see them pumping millions of dollars into hosts. You don't see that. They'd rather go to a strip club and throw $1,000 on the back of a stripper's ass. It's hilarious. It's tragic, but it's hilarious at the same time. Because these white supremacists are moving and playing chess. But people who have power in the black community are playing checkers. I'm going to let that sit on your soul for a minute. It's some deep stuff. Let's get to the next clip.
The woman did attract a few thousand votes in the race. The Democrat lost. Matt Gaetz' friend, the Republican Florida Senate candidate, won. That young woman who randomly ended up on the ballot in that race has now apparently picked up stakes and suddenly moved to Sweden, according to the Orlando Sentinel. One of the other races in Florida where a sham candidate was allegedly paid to take a place on the ballot to help the Republican candidate win. That has resulted in felony campaign finance indictments for two of the people involved. But this other case with the young lady who was represented on a flyer as a black woman when she was not a black woman, and she's now gone to Sweden after earning a few thousand votes in that race. That has resulted thus far in no charges that anybody knows of, but it is reportedly now part of the Congressman Matt Gaetz federal investigation as well. I should also tell you that the Republican lobbyist in Florida, who Congressman Gaetz is alleged to have talked to about the sham candidate who fled to Sweden, today he was just let go from his pro-Trump Republican lobbying firm.
Now, did y'all just hear this? A white woman who was a friend of Matt Gaetz ran as a Democrat, as a black woman Democrat. Think about that now. A lot of people in Florida voted for her to take the vote from the main Democrat candidate. It split the vote. So the Republican actually won. That white woman who played like she was a black woman, a black Democrat woman, fled to Switzerland or Sweden. She fled to Sweden. And Matt Gaetz is involved in that. Like I said, this stuff is coordinated. This stuff is coordinated. You know. And a lot of us minorities are not paying attention to it. This is some scary stuff. Let's get to this next clip.
Last November, incumbent Democrat Jose Javier Rodriguez lost his Senate seat by just 32 votes, a race that he tells CNN he would have won.
There's no question that this had an impact on a race that was ultimately decided by 32 votes out of nearly 250,000 cast.
But Jose Javier Rodriguez lost. There was a third candidate, a sham candidate in this race with the same last name as his, who siphoned away Democrat votes. Alex Rodriguez, who's also charged in the plan.
Now, this case right here is also connected to Matt Gaetz, not just the woman. This case right here is how the Republicans down in Florida, like, remember what I said, people, Donald Trump is in Florida, the ultimate con man, the scammer in chief. This guy, who his last name was Rodriguez, ran for the Democrat Party. All of a sudden, another man popped up who nobody even knows anything about, with the last name Rodriguez, claiming he was a Democrat too. But really, in all actuality, he was paid by the Republicans to take votes, and they've arrested him too. Look at how he lies when his news reporter confronts him.
We've been looking for Alex. Is he around?
No, he'll be back tomorrow though.
That's actually Alex Rodriguez behind the door, lying to a reporter from CNN affiliate WPLG about his own identity last year. Alex Rodriguez told officials Frank Artiles paid him nearly $45,000 to be a so-called ghost candidate. He was promoted as a liberal in advertising mailers, but never campaigned and never debated.
In addition to the same surname, there was a very well orchestrated and funded last-minute campaign to persuade voters and, frankly, trick them.
While entering a sham candidate into a political race isn't a crime, the funding of one is.
Now, I'm running low on time, but Matt Gaetz is in a world of hurt right now. And I'm willing to guarantee you, because a report came out that he was showing nude photographs to other Republican lawmakers. Some of the Republican lawmakers have came out and embarrassed him and said, yeah, they've seen those naked photos that he showed of naked women. They're finna throw him under the bus. This guy, Matt Gaetz' father, was a Republican state senator in Florida. And actually, he was the Speaker of the House in Florida. And Matt Gaetz has been a spoiled white supremacist kid getting out of everything and anything that his father can get him out of for a long time. But now the chickens have come home to roost. And he's finna go to jail behind this. My thing is, I want to see how many people he gonna bring down with him. Because like I said, these people are running around in the same circles. So they know he used to mess with young girls. More than likely, some of them probably mess with young girls under the age of 18 too. So the guy that they arrested as being this pimp, and he was a he was a certified state worker also down in Florida. So he was actually working for the state of Florida, at the same time pimping young girls out to congressmen or wealthy people. One of the girls even became a porn star. She's above 18 now. She became a porn star. So now you got Matt Gaetz, who threw Tucker Carlson under the bus already. So that means he's about ready to find somebody else he can get that's on the big list above him. So I'm hoping y'all getting an understanding of how this is going. Donald Trump is down in Florida also. He's probably conducting a lot of this foolishness that's going on with these young girls. I wouldn't doubt it. But this is the Daily Read, and for all the people that see me on live, or for all the people that catch me on iHeartRadio, if you want to see the full show where you can see all of the videos, the intakes, the outtakes, go to Money Making Biz on YouTube, and you'll be able to see the full show, unedited, uncut, on YouTube. Money Making Biz, B-I-Z, Money Making Biz. You'll see me in a red suit. So this is the Daily Read, and I hope you guys learned something. I'm out.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
Bring in the business.